All right, kicking the show off first and foremost with the upcoming big recruiting weekend for our Clemson Tigers, the Elite Retreat. Jordan, we talked about this last week. You kind of outlined some of the guys that you were paying attention to coming into this Elite Retreat weekend coming up this Saturday. So any changes on that end? Any more people that are coming that we didn't know about last week? And then also, do you anticipate any offers coming out of this weekend for guys that are coming on campus for this big Elite Junior Day that don't currently have offers? As everybody knows, Clemson recruits a bit differently, and until you make a trip to campus, you don't get a Clemson offer. So any offers that you expect to happen this weekend, or any new guys that we didn't get to talk about last week that you want to highlight this week for the Elite Retreat?
Yeah, well, I do want to highlight a couple of new offers at the skill positions that happened over the week in running back Carson Baker and wide receiver Craig Dandridge. Carson Baker is a kid that Clemson has been monitoring from the state of Georgia for a while. Fast riser, 4-star kid. I think there is a really, really good affinity between him, his family, and Clemson. I think this would be we've been kind of monitoring and wondering what direction that they're going to go in the running back position for this class. But CJ Spiller seems to have found his guy. I think this is the guy that they're going to try to lock in on. I think there's a lot of synergy there with between Clemson, his family, himself, and he's been showing, especially on his social media, he's been showing Clemson a lot of love as of late. So I wanted to highlight him. And then wide receiver Craig Dandridge out of Alpharetta. He is a kid that is, another kind of, he's not really a big body, 6'2", about 170 listed right now. But the kid can absolutely play. And I think, Tyler Grisham has done a good job with him so far, and there seems to be a lot of connections there. So I wanted to hit on those two guys real quick. As far as the Elite Retreat, I believe there's how many are we at now? It's got to be at least 31 kids.
Yeah,
it's the largest Elite Retreat that we've had in really ever. And when you consider what you're losing for next season, it makes a lot of sense why they're devoting this much resources to and really swinging for the fences this go around and trying to get as many guys as possible. So wanted to mention linebacker Tyler Atkinson, a 5-star. We have kind of skirted around talking about his name. He's a name that Clemson has been involved with for a while, but this is going to be one of the highest profile recruiting battles in the class. But he has officially confirmed that he will be in Clemson this weekend. So I think that's a massive development for them, and just to get an opportunity to get him on campus and kind of work your magic and see what happens, because you're going to be battling the likes of Oregon and Georgia, especially for his services, and basically everybody else in the country. He is legit. He's one of the better linebacker prospects that we've seen really in the last couple of years. So if you're able to make a good impression and kind of confirm that official visit, and get him to continue to consider Clemson, this would be a massive step. Let's see. Also, cornerback Danny Odom out of Orlando. He is officially declared that he will be here this weekend. 4-star kid, 6'1", 170. We're over 30 kids at this point.
Yeah.
This is as loaded of a Elite Retreat weekend as Clemson has ever had, and I think this is one of the most important ones for all the we've talked about all the guys that are going to be on campus. The Adam Guthries, the Maxwell Rileys, the Akene Ogbokos of the world. Especially along the offensive line, we've been really hammering how important offensive line is for this class. I think Clemson is swinging for the fences, and I think this is the way that they need to go in order to really solidify the board, because, like I said, you're going to be losing a lot of these kids after this year. And so, it's good that you're getting this many high profile kids on campus all at one time. One of the things that I've noticed in previous years, and especially more of the recent cycles, is, not only was the elite retreat like leaner in terms of numbers, which was to be expected, but the overall quality of talent at certain positions wasn't always, at the same level. And I think that's part of the reason why you didn't finish with a top 25 class this past season, because you got, multiple top 100 kids. So obviously the decommits hurt a good bit, but even still, the overall quality across every position was not always there. And so, you've seen it really step up with offensive line. They're really, really emphasizing corner as well. And I really think that, linebacker, they have the most to prove or to kind of work on with this weekend. And they're going to get, this is going to be a good first test, I guess, for Tom Allen and Ben Boulware and that stat, especially Ben Boulware, kind of see how he, fares in a recruiting, atmosphere. I think, this is going to be a really, really good opportunity. But Clemson always does well. I expect them to really, bring out all the stops. They really, really take an emphasis in making sure that this weekend is not just, fun and a fun trip for, the players, but like truly, making an impact on them and getting them more interested, in Clemson. And especially since they're coming on their own dime, like this is an unofficial visit,
Right.
Technically. So, they're not being paid, they're not, paying for them to come to Clemson. Like they're coming on their own dime. So, it's going to be really, really important. So we'll see kind of what the returns are. I'm really excited. I really, really like the group that they've brought and the approach that they've gone about in bringing this group together. Of course, you're not going to land every kid that comes to this
Right.
weekend. That's just not realistic, as some of these kids are, you might not even end up in their top 3, 4, but you need to, as long as you're getting those kids on campus, you're continuing to attract that level of talent. I think that bodes well for the prospects of this class. So, like I said, I don't want to like speculate too much on, who's going to commit, who's going to that's always kind of a fluid thing.
Right.
So I'm going to hold off on that until we kind of get more returns out of the weekend. But it's, things are shaping up to be a really, really impactful and important and successful, hopefully, weekend for the Tigers in recruiting.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I mean, just getting that number of prospects on campus for an unofficial recruiting weekend is a feat in and of itself. And obviously, we've said it time and time again that recruiting, there's kind of a renewed sense of urgency with this coaching staff and the recruiting heading into this 2026 class and really locking these guys down. And you've seen Matt Luke kind of expand his board a bit, and some of the other position groups follow suit and do the same. So they're definitely taking a little bit of a different approach this year, and that it's definitely been a point of emphasis coming off of that very disappointing 2025 class, right? So I think this weekend will go a long way in kind of gauging some of these guys that we're going to have on campus and what their true interest in Clemson is. And that'll give a good idea for, probably who's going to come back for that end of May / June official visit weekend in the summer. And we'll kind of have a better picture of that heading out of this weekend. Again, there's always going to be highs. Everybody coming out of this weekend is probably going to talk really glowingly about Clemson and the coaching staff and the facilities and how much they love it. But you really want to, wait a week or two and see what they're saying then Emotions can be high coming out of weekends like this. Everybody's together, everybody's feeling good, everybody's having a good time. But when they get back home and it's 24, 48, 72 hours and they got time to think about it, they're probably a little bit more clear-headed in kind of their assessment of how the weekend went. So I'm always measured when I hear guys' interviews coming out of a big recruiting weekend because they're typically all positive. But again, I think this 2026 class is looking very promising. We just got to close the deal on several of these guys, and this weekend will go a long way in doing that. So I'm excited. I'm excited to hear how this weekend goes.